Since the beginning of this week, the situation in Gaza Strip has continued to grow extremely tense due to ongoing airstrikes carried out by the Israeli military on various residential areas and Hamas infrastructure. Today, at least 51 people have been killed as a result of these attacks. This brings the total death toll this week to 87. It is noteworthy that among the victims there are many children and women, which raises great concern among the international community about the seriousness of this conflict. UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, has warned that the lack of humanitarian aid has pushed the population of Gaza, especially children, to the brink of a very serious humanitarian disaster. Many children are at risk of dying due to the lack of clean water, food and basic health services if there is no urgent intervention from the international community. Moreover, hospitals and health facilities in Gaza are extremely crowded and lack medicines and medical equipment due to the ongoing blockade and conflict. However, in the past few days, humanitarian aid trucks have been allowed to enter Gaza carrying food supplies, powdered milk for children and essential medicines. This is an important step towards alleviating some of the humanitarian crisis. However, aid organizations continue to warn that the shortages are still severe and more urgent aid is needed from countries and international organizations to prevent this disaster from happening. Israel said the airstrikes were aimed at Hamas targets in order to protect national security. However, human rights organizations and many countries have condemned the action as causing great harm to civilians and violating international humanitarian law. Tensions in the region have not shown any signs of sword fighting, with the possibility of new clashes in the near future. A shocking incident occurred in the U.S. Capitol, Washington, D.C., when two Israeli embassy employees were shot dead just outside the Jewish Capitol Museum where they had just attended a cultural event. The victims were Yaron Lasinski and Sarah Milgram. Both were experienced diplomats. The suspect in this case is 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez, who was arrested by police at the scene. According to investigators, Rodriguez admitted to carrying out the attack in support of the Palestinian movement and opposing Israel's military action in Gaza. This incident was immediately considered an act of terrorism motivated by hatred. In the context of rising regional tensions, the Israeli military today announced the successful interception of 2 missiles fired from Yemen, where the HTI group is active and has ties with Iran. This is one of the latest in a series of missile attacks that Israel has had to face from armed groups supported from the south. Israel's missile defense system, renowned for its high accuracy, managed to detect and destroy the 2 missiles in Israeli airspace without causing any casualties or property damage. This timely interception prevented a potential disaster if the missiles had hit residential areas or critical infrastructure. Israel is now strengthening its missile defense system and continues to monitor threats from the region. This development has increased tensions between countries in the Middle East, increasing the potential for political and military instability on a wider scale. The increasing tensions in the Middle East have triggered strong reactions from various countries and international organizations, creating a complex and multi-dimensional political picture. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps today issued a stern warning to Israel, stressing that any attack on Iran will be met with a strong and decisive response. Iran is considered one of the main allies of the HTI group in Yemen and Palestinian armed groups. So this warning increases the risk of a wider conflict. It also serves as a warning to the international community about the possibility of military escalation outside the Israeli-Palestinian region. The European Union, UK Foreign Minister Jakarta strongly condemned the Israeli military action that fired warning shots near international diplomatic delegations in Jenin City, West Bank. He called the action unacceptable and called on Israel to comply with international rules in protecting diplomatic missions. The EU called on all parties to reduce tensions and prioritize diplomatic solutions. The diverse international reactions ranging from condemnation, warnings, to humanitarian aid actions and diplomatic pressure show that this crisis is not only an internal regional problem, but has become a hot spot on the global political map. In addition to political and military instability, Israel and the West Bank region are also facing another serious challenge in the form of forest fires that have been going on since the end of April until now. More than 25,000 dunams of forest and grassland have been burned down by the massive fires that are difficult to control, forcing more than 10,000 local residents to evacuate in emergency situations. The fires spread and were difficult to extinguish due to dry weather conditions, high temperatures, and strong winds, creating a natural disaster that has a major impact on the environment, economy, and people's lives. The Israeli government has declared a state of emergency and mobilized all resources to extinguish the fires while asking for international assistance in the form of manpower,